Welcome to Get Real with Jack and Cindy, where the stories are polished and the advice isn't trendy. We talk houses, markets, and the life that happens in between. The wins, the screw-ups, and everything unseen.
We are going to talk about whether there is a housing shortage or not. Welcome back to Get Real with Jack and Cindy. I'm Cindy Morrison.
And I'm Jack Wallace. Glad to have you. So, housing shortage.
Housing shortage.
Interesting.
Well, that was all the talk of the administration. We're way short on homes, but are we really?
Yeah. Well, and I think also this is where you get into the whole idea of national news compared to local news compared to hyper local news. And I think that is...
Compared to just hype.
Yeah. But I mean, there is, the data's there. I mean, the data doesn't lie. There is definitely an issue that needs to be addressed. And, the biggest problem we're running into now is, it's funny because we all talk about wanting things to be kind of sugar rushed because we want more business, we want more of this, and that's what we did. We sugar rushed during the pandemic, and we got those interest rates down, which was a smart thing in many ways, but those came down so far to get the housing market to move, and we were all crazy that whole time period,
right?
But now we're paying the price for the golden handcuffs that have put a lot of people in because that they're stuck with those stuck with lower payments, that it's hard for them to get out of their house and go to something else because they go up in payment to go down in house.
Right.
So you're locking up inventory in that direction because those people aren't necessarily in the mood to sell that would have already been now in 6-year window, right? So,
right. I
mean, people stay in their houses longer, more like 7 years, but we would be in that realm right now for a lot of those people that are going, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
The good news is they built a lot of equity, so that's good, and the houses have sometimes valued. That's the other thing we need to discuss because in that craze to buy a house in that time period, what else happened?
Well, I will tell you something that I'm seeing. Well, hold on, let's finish answering that question.
Yeah. So what happened was everybody was like basically paying whatever they had to pay to get the house because the payment would be low even if they paid more.
With an appraisal gap and all the things.
Right, it made sense in that time period for that because it's always about the monthly payment.
Right.
It's always about the monthly payment. That is the way our business works. We can all say it's the price, but it is about the monthly payment for 90% of people. Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
You want to budget and know what you're getting. So anyways, but now the market is settling in. People have done a lot of price reductions. So it is kind of people are like, well, if people are having to do price reductions, how can it be that we have a housing shortage if I'm having to discount my price to get it sold?
And most sellers think their home is worth more than it is. There is not a listing appointment that I sit down that we have to have a reality talk about the numbers today versus the numbers in 20 and 21. Yes, your house is appreciated, but it hasn't appreciated as much as it appreciated during the pandemic and then continued to appreciate that much since then.
Well, in some areas, some places, it's gone down because, again, the demand was so strong and people were paying way above what was considered market at that time. We had so many cash buyers too. So you had both things happening, right? And those cash buyers were bringing up the appraisals for that. And then people paying the appraisal gap was bringing up the appraisals. And so it all went up, which, in other markets in Tulsa, that's not been a normal thing. In other markets, they've kind of had that happen before.
Yes.
We've never been a bubble market. We had one of the first kind of bubbles in Oklahoma during the pandemic. So the fact that they've stabilized as well as they have and not completely tanked is a good thing. But yeah, people have to get realistic about, what is that? It's understandable how people feel that too, because they're not playing in the market all the time. They're not paying attention to all this. They're listening to news. But when it comes to their house, they know what they paid, they know what they owe, and they know what they think they should get.
Yes.
And we have to be the bearers of bad news a lot of times and say, that sounds great, and I can understand why you're thinking that way, but the numbers tell the story. The numbers tell the story, and these are the numbers.
And the market will tell you what your house is going to sell for. We can do all the numbers. We can do all the things. You can think your house is worth X, and we tell you it's worth Y. But the fact is, the market is going to come up with Z, which is actually what somebody is willing to pay for your house.
And what is it we always say? We bring the house to the market, but the market brings the price. And that is just the way it is. I mean, again, I say this every week, I think, but I am a geek when it comes to numbers. And you can run all the numbers you want.
Yep.
The market's going to tell you the story. And that can go either way. So as realtors, sometimes we get caught kind of unawares because somebody says, I want this, and we're like, no way. And you go, okay, well, we'll try it. I know, but let's
make
see,
it stop.
But
Make
85% of the time that doesn't work. It just doesn't. In fact, it makes you end up probably getting less money because the house ends up sitting, and then people think there's something wrong, or somebody goes in and the appraisal doesn't come in and it blows the deal, or there's all kinds of things. But there's that time, that maybe 5 to 10%, where they do have a unique house that somebody was just in the market at that exact moment who was willing to pay it and would pay it and could pay it. And it works. So it's a gamble.
Let me take out my magical wand, and yes, that happens every once in a while.
Yeah, and it's a gamble, and sometimes even as realtors, we have to go, if that's that important to you to try that, then
it's your house.
It's your house, and so we at the end of the day do not list your house for the list price. We list your house with the list price. You tell us you are willing to list to that.
So here's how I know there's a housing shortage.
Okay.
As an individual agent...
Way gone off rails.
Yeah, we have. As we always do.
That's okay. I think it's a setup, though. It's a good setup.
But as an individual agent in Tulsa, Oklahoma, how I know there's a housing shortage. I have 2 buyers, and in the last week, I've written 4 contracts. All of them have been multiple offer situations, and we've come in first runner up. And I pulled out all the stops, everything I could think of to do. But some people are paying crazy money for a house. And I don't ever want my clients to be upside down in a house.
What is the price points you're having that happen in?
Literally $400,000 to about, actually one of them was almost $1 million.
Yeah. And that's the weird part, because you still have so many houses that we have sitting that aren't selling, that are great houses, and they seem to be reasonably priced. So it's a real hard thing, because you've got, on one side, you're telling people things are going double offers or triple offers or quadruple offers, and then other things you're telling your seller it's not selling and I'm not getting showings. So
one of them yesterday, we did not. That would have been my 5th offer to write in a week. We didn't, because the agent called me and said, we have 10 offers, 8 of them are cash, and we're only looking at cash offers. So we had to step away from that one. But
that also tells you those houses have to be priced right. I mean, they have to be priced right.
That is where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
These were...
So that's a prime example.
Yes. These were shiny objects, like beautiful homes, well priced, probably maybe a little bit underpriced.
Setting up an auction.
Absolutely. And those... I mean, according to the house yesterday that we didn't write an offer on, he's like, people are writing stupid offers.
Oh, and that's the thing too.
Which is great for a seller.
And let me say, that's one thing, the whole, it's again, gambling. Because you put a house down and someone might just come in and go, okay, I'll pay that. And you go, well, I thought I was going to get multiple offers, and you don't. And then somebody's willing to pay the lower price. So I think it's one of those things, you have to sort of be willing to take that lower price if that's all you get. But at least then that's kind of where you're going to be. But it is a brilliant strategy as far as the FOMO effect. Because people get very caught up in not wanting to be the one to miss out on a deal. And, I'm a spiritual person. And I believe things are meant to be or not meant to be. And so I always tell people, I've had very, very few clients that literally were just absolutely heartsick about losing a deal and weren't happy they lost it when they found the next house that was the right one for them.
I told
that
to
the
both
universe
of my
does
buyers.
Take care of you. It does. And so I think it is an interesting way. Like if you're just trying to really get rid of a property quickly in this market, it's a darn good strategy. I mean,
so before you think we're saying it's a seller's market, I want to tell you, I'm still on my listing seeing more offers come in with 10,000 in closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, list or a little below 10,000 in closing costs. So I think it's still a balanced market, but if you have
bifurcated, right? I mean, is that the word?
What word?
Bifurcated?
I've never heard that word before.
Like it's split, like it's two different things at one time. I think it's bifurcated.
Like twins?
If it's not bifurcated, everyone can make fun of me in the comments. But so no, I think it's like you've got two markets going on at one time. You really
yes,
do.
I agree with that.
It used to be kind of like you had high end and low end or mid end, and those were the bifurcations.
Bifurcations.
But now, I think that is, it's a word. So,
whatever you say, Jack.
Gosh, the 50s are fun, aren't they? No, I think we're really looking at it. It's within each and every price range.
Yes.
You're seeing it. I'm finding it also has to do with, like we talked about, the hyper local.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely has to do with where the house is located. You know, like if you've got higher end in Maple Ridge or Woody Crest or, you know, some of the higher end around Utica Square historic district neighborhoods,
mm-hmm.
you can't build a new one. You can't change that inventory.
Well, you can build a new one. You can blade it down and start over again.
But I mean, you can't replace a historic,
right,
classic home in an old, established, historic neighborhood next to Utica Square.
Right.
It's just, if you're somebody looking for that, that's just what you got. Now, again, there's a lot of infill too, and that's its own thing. But those are not replaceable,
mm-hmm.
really replaceable. So, I mean, there is that part of it. And then also with the newer homes in those classic neighborhoods, that it's hard to find lots.
Yep.
So those homes are also a unicorn because some people don't want the old house, but they want the old, established, beautiful neighborhood location. So you have those kind of things that give the dimension, and that land value is so important.
Yep.
But the problem also you run into is you get that donut hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have like those neighborhoods where you've got a bunch of new homes being built, and then you have the really, you know, homes that have never had anything done to them, not taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the donut hole homes that are the nicest of the ones that are older, fixed up, but they're not new construction.
Mm-hmm. But they think they're new construction a lot of times.
And that's hard,
Just
right?
saying.
Yeah, so you really have to be careful with those.
I'm going to scoot you over.
Oh.
You're a little out of frame. There we go.
You have to really be careful with those, and thank you for always taking care of me.
You're welcome.
You have to take care. Yeah, but you have to look at those because it's very interesting how you price those. You know, a $5,000 or $10,000 difference in pricing
mm-hmm.
in that market can make a huge difference. So I think that's what you have to really find. You have to figure out what it is about your listing and your location specifically that has to be addressed to get that pricing correct.
Agreed.
And sometimes that's just putting on the market and having feedback after feedback after feedback, and not just you saying it.
Right.
But other realtors and other buyers saying it to your seller.
And that's where I think it's really valuable when you get that buyer feedback that you're priced too high, or, you know, whatever it is. Or like us with being Who's Who, Luxury Board of
Right.
Regents, a board member. When we tour each other's
And
property.
let's explain what that is. So
Okay.
in Tulsa, Oklahoma, it's actually international.
Mm-hmm.
The Luxury Board of Realtors, it's very selective. You can only have one in an area that they pick. And then within your company, there's only a certain amount of people that can be that. And they have to have listings that are typically, I think the average is higher here. The listings has to be averaged much higher than 500. And so then you become, by invitation, a luxury board agent.
So let me drill that down. There's only one brokerage that is the Who's Who of Luxury Board of Regents brokerage. That's Chenoweth and Cohen. And then our top agents, luxury agents, are the ones who are the board members. So we're one. There's like 20 of us.
So when you see like on
25
our
of us.
social media where it says saw on luxury tour today, that's all of those people. We tour each other's properties to give that feedback that we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about, because it is such a unique market. You have people that work in luxury, in high end, looking at going, This is good. This is bad. I mean, I'm famous for moving all the furniture around when I'm there.
I love it. You did. So I have a $1.7 million listing that we just toured on Wednesday. And Jack was like, okay, these 2 chairs have to be moved. And it's funny, we moved those chairs and it was a game changer for the dining room.
Doesn't
2
take
chairs
much,
in a dining room. But it just made the line of sight amazing for a great room that happens to have, you know, the kitchen, the dining, and the living all in one
And
great room.
the truth is, people have lived with things for so long, they see it just one way and they don't think about it. And then you go in, you have to go in thinking from a camera, from a walk-in, from all those angles. So, anyways, back to our thing. So
wait. We had a topic we were talking about.
But that is an example. Like, you have people that get that market, and then, you know, we also have brokers opens for other listings, and you have brokers come and you try to get them to come. It isn't so much. People think it's because they're going to have buyers and blah, blah. That's great if that happens, and that does happen. What you're really wanting is professional eyes who do this every day going, ooh, or ah. You know, like, what do we need to do, or what can... It's so helpful, and I think so much of the time we operate as individual agents that having committees to come in and help us to let the seller know, yes, this is true, or they see things we don't, you know. So I think it's very important you have an agent who is connected and can get those people to your listings.
Yes.
One way or the other.
And listening to that feedback as a seller. If they're telling you the price is too high, then listen.
Yeah. or don't and suffer the consequences, because, you know, it. And the more the time is of the essence. I mean, it really is, and that's really important. We should have Megan Berry, the president of Regions, on.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, because
we'll ask her.
Yeah.
I mean, she's the president of the whole thing.
International.
You know, we could zoom her in, but I think that would be great, because I think that's something in Tulsa that, you know, luxury is becoming a big market in Tulsa, and it's becoming a little bit of a fast mover. You know, for a while, if you had a luxury home in Tulsa, it took a lot longer to sell, but now that's not as much the case if it's priced correctly.
Agreed. So coming back to our original premise, yes, I think there is a housing shortage, probably specifically for that entry level price. I think it's hard to find, you know, that 100,000 to 300,000. There's just not a lot of it right now. The
scary part is that that's almost not even the entry cost anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's the scary part, is that we are now into the realm of much higher for starter homes than we used to. I think there's still some of that, but you have to go further out, or you go older, or you may have to do some, you know, they're not going to be perfect typically.
Well, and further out, we're talking North Dallas. No, I'm just kidding. South Tulsa. 177th and Yale is like where my builder, I'm there every Saturday and Sunday at my builder's model for the open house. And that used to seem so far. Now I'm out there all the time. But 151st and Memorial, they are doing
that's
a
like middle of town.
Ginormous.
But, you know, we also have to get to the place too where you look at the Dallas Metro and you look at Plano, Frisco, all that. I mean, Tulsa's becoming that. It's just becoming where from here to there is getting broader and broader. And that's a sign of health for a city. And even all the projects they're doing on the highway tells you that they know more than we know about what's happening and the growth potential coming in. So even though it does seem way far out, that's not going to be way far out. I mean, I remember even doing some stuff in Bingsby thinking, this is so far out. Now I feel like when I drive there, well, that's just part of it.
Cost of doing business,
Usually we'd say everything in Tulsa you can get to in 15 minutes. Not anymore.
So I don't know if you know this, 151st and Memorial, they are putting in a ginormous shopping area. It's going to have like Walmart's top tier store, tons of restaurants. Like, it is a huge
Which is
undertaking.
so smart, because they see that that's the growth corridor. And you know, you can get from 75 to Memorial so quickly. There's no other way to do that in town. So in some ways, it makes more sense to be building along there than it does other areas.
And think like White Hawk
the river
Golf Course.
A little bit.
Yeah. White Hawk Golf Course was way ahead of its time. You know?
Like, evidently.
It's no longer a golf course. Still, the neighborhoods are negotiating what it's going to be. But, I mean, that used to be North Dallas. And now, I mean, we're expanding there. So I think as far as land and developments, I think we're going to have more of the starter homes coming in, as well as luxury homes coming in with the developments. But yes, we are in a housing shortage.
Plus, I hope we start going north, up, more towards Skiatook and more towards that area, because that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. That area is beautiful, and that
Osage County.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous estate kind of lots.
Yeah. So
I think in general, like what we're talking about is, yes, I think nationally there is a huge inventory issue. We have I would say we have a housing issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really important
on several levels.
Yeah, I don't think that it's necessarily that inventory is the biggest, most major problem, although it is nationally. I think the housing issue of having enough housing, which is apartments, and because not everyone's going to buy. Some people need to rent. Housing in general is going to be, and then the other thing too, we have so many people like me that are used to would have lived with somebody or have a family. Like so many people are living in their homes later and longer by themselves. So I think it's all kind of you put all that together.
You're sounding like you're a hermit, and you're not.
I know, getting to be, but no, I mean a lot of people want to age in place, even and. So usually they would have sold their house, but now they're after the pandemic and getting locked in, a lot of people don't want that anymore. They're scared, so they want to stay in their house. And so I think we're just not seeing the turnaround of that part happening too. But it will start. I mean, unfortunately, for a lot of reasons,
For sure.
Death, divorce, taxes.
Mm-hmm. What are the 5 Ds? Death, divorce, diapers. I really should have thought this out before
Dynamics.
I started. Yeah, before I started that. Anyway, there are 5 Ds. So
not DTI for once.
Yeah. Debt to income ratio.
I make that as a joke because I say it, I think, 50 times a day because I think no one knows what it means. So
they don't.
Yeah. Anyway.
Which makes a huge difference when you're buying a house. That's an entirely different podcast.
I'll have to do that next.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you for joining us. I think we definitely solved the question of, is there a housing shortage? There is.
Yeah.
Particularly in certain price points in Tulsa.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to have some solutions. I will say, I'm driving everywhere and seeing new neighborhoods going in everywhere. So, I mean, I think it's all coming. I think we're fixing the problem. I think it's going to all be okay.
Yes, I agree.
We're going to have to do what we have to do to make it okay.
Amen.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week.
Welcome to Get Real with Jack and Cindy, where the stories are polished and the advice isn't trendy. We talk houses, markets, and the life that happens in between. The wins, the screw-ups, and everything unseen.